What is up, Dallas Cowboys fans? IndyCar Tim here with your Dallas Cowboys Daily Blitz here on FanStream Sports and the Fish Report YouTube channel. Have you caught your breath yet? That was a close one, wasn't it? That was a tough one kind of to watch and think good thoughts about for a long time. And, I was making lots of notes during the game about talking points and, almost reading over my notes. It looked like I thought they were going to lose. And because that's most of my notes are negative, like here's what happened and here's why and things like that. But they finally have a win over a team with a winning record. I hesitate to use the term good team. It is the Seahawks. Now that, of course, they dropped to 500 at 6-6. But you finally have a win over a team with a winning record, so that stigma now is gone for the season. You're still going to have people saying, well, it was the Seahawks. They weren't good, whatever. The Cowboys haters are going to twist everything to suit their narrative, and that's what it is. So this is a big win for Dallas. Make no mistake. This is a big win for Dallas as they are now, as we've talked about multiple times, entering a stretch. You now have Philadelphia. You have Buffalo, Miami, and Detroit before you close the season against Washington. All of those teams, playoff hopeful teams for sure. So you needed to beat Seattle here at home to go into that stretch on a good note, to continue to extend your home winning streak. It's now 14. That, again, is the most since 18 in a row at Texas Stadium from 79 to 81. Most of my notes I've got here were apparently steered towards if they were going to lose, which they did not. Of course, the biggest freaking stat that stands out on the page for both teams was penalties. What in the hell was going on with the penalties? Seattle, 10 flags for 130 yards. The Cowboys, 9 flags for 127 yards. So that sounds ridiculous and absurd, and it certainly is. But when you see that happening to both teams, that's an anomaly, okay? That's just the referees. And you guys that watch the game, you'll know this. A lot of those flags were ticky-tacky flags, especially the defensive holdings, the defensive pass interference calls. Not all of them, but certainly some of those would qualify as being absurd and ridiculous calls. So when you see it on both teams like getting called like that, that's a deal with the ref crew that you've got that night, and that was going to happen regardless of what two teams were playing. So I throw that out the window at this point. I don't even consider that as a big deal. Now, did it cost both teams? Yeah. Both teams scored touchdowns off of drives that were extended by bad calls and by ticky-tack calls by the refs. So it all balanced out, I think. Both teams over 400 total yards. The Cowboys 411, the Seahawks 406. The turnover was big, I thought. Dallas, no turnovers. Huge day for Dak with no turnovers. And, that kind of tells the story. Cowboys 9 of 14 on third downs. Seahawks 9 of 14 on third downs. Cowboys 8 of 14 on third downs. I was concerned a little bit early with the Cowboys red zone. I've got them 4 for 7 touchdowns in the red zone, 4 for 7. It's not official, that was just what I had written down. But at one point, it was 3 of 5, 3 of 6. Which you don't like to see too much. But you know what? In the end, the defense pulled this one out for the Cowboys in the end, as they should. That's what we expect to see out of the Cowboys defense at this point in the year. And that's what we want to see out of the Cowboys defense against good teams down this stretch run, where they need to not just show everybody else that they can beat these teams, they need to show themselves that they can beat these good teams. And that's what this stretch is really about. That's what tonight was about. I'm telling you, the Seahawks are they're not a bad team. They've lost now 3 in a row. Geno Smith has found something. He's having a down year this year, not nearly the year he had last year, but he's got some people hurt. He was down to his backup running back, Charbonnet, today. He went out late in the game. You had to go to DJ Dallas, who's a special teams player, and Kenneth Walker out the entire game. He's a stud running back. They did not have his services today. The Cowboys pretty much healthy. Everybody was playing that could play. So it is what it is. Big win for Dallas. Chalk it up. Tony Pollard, 20 carries, 68 yards, and a touchdown. Dak went 29 of 41 for 299 yards, 3 touchdowns. And again, most importantly, no picks. He had a couple of close calls, and they weren't necessarily drops, but they were close calls. But you know what? On the stat sheet, all clean. Player of the game for me for the Cowboys, as has been the case, CeeDee Lamb, 12 catches, 116 yards, and the 1 touchdown. He had a good ground game today. They were utilizing him on that jet sweep or the end around, whatever you want to categorize it as Lamb had 2 carries for 30 yards. So, and one of those ones were big there at the end of the game, getting down inside the 10. So, you know what? Everybody really we'll throw this out there. This is my first note that I had, and I think I put it out on social media. DaRon Bland had a horrible game after being named the NFC Defensive Player of the Month. Then he goes out on the last day of the month and lays an absolute egg. DK Metcalf owned him tonight, and I know he got the pick, and that was a big pick, but DK Metcalf owned him tonight. And no, I don't think this is the beginning of the end for DaRon Bland. I think he had a bad game. And you know what? He's had a ton of distractions in the last week since he tied the NFL record for pick sixes with 5, excuse me. And you know what? He just had a bad game. He'll be fine. Don't worry about him at all. Now as the Cowboys prep for the Eagles coming into town a week from Sunday, they've got an extended week, and they're going to need every bit of that week to prepare for Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles. That'll be a good one here at AT&T Stadium. We'll have a lot more on that game as the week progresses. Turning my attention to college football here for a championship weekend on all of our college football daily blitzes. Make sure you guys check that out here on FanStream Sports, as well as all of your favorite podcast apps. That's going to wrap it up for us. Appreciate you tuning into this Quick Hits post-game edition of Cowboys and Seahawks. Find me on Twitter at IndyCarTim, on Threads at IndyCarTim. Make sure you're subscribing to our YouTube channel, either over at the Fish Report YouTube channel or at FanStream Sports. Head over to FanStreamSports.com for all of your sports podcasts and videos. We appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time, we'll see you.